they wanted to push him along and bring him back sooner, I'm sure they could. They don't want to. He doesn't want to. His goal is to be on the mound in October and do something that, well, Babe Ruth did it, but no one else has done it. Pitch and hit in October.
With FC Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Freshest article from Ken is up on The Athletic right now about Cedric Mullins, who's been with the team for a while now, and he went through the really tough tanking times too. So, Ken, can you give us more insight on what you wrote about? And the follow-up, of course, is where are the extensions? Where are the offers for any of these Orioles players with the new ownership group?
Well, with Cedric Mullins, he's been a guy that's been through the thick and thin with them. You were just talking about Justin Steele being there for the difficult years or the mediocre years. Mullins was there for the really bad years with the Orioles. And, of course, he is their longest tenured player now. He has been a mainstay in their organization, in the Baltimore community. He's quite popular with fans. But the Orioles are a team that has pushed out players like Anthony Santander to free agency, Austin Hayes to trade, and Mullins likely will be the next to go because they have younger players coming. Colton Cowser can take over center field. Enrique Bradfield Jr. is a top prospect. He's coming, a center field type as well. So the chances of them re-signing Mullins are probably slim, but the point of the article was merely just to point out this guy's had a really nice career for them. 2021 was his best season by far. Hasn't been quite that good since then, but he's off to a great start. He got a huge ovation in their home opener. And it just seems to me that he's one of these guys that gets kind of overlooked.
So this guy, I know he struggled a year before. He had a little problem. I mean, I feel like he is the staple of Orioles right now. And then, for him, I love the decision of coming out and saying, hey, listen, I want to stay here, and I think that's the comfort level you got to have. But it's ultimately up to the Orioles. They have these prospects coming up too, but don't you want a veteran guy there to kind of lead the ship as they move forward?
Well, that's the question, Todd. And it's a fair question with them because they have an incredibly talented group of young position players. We all know that. Maybe Adley Rutschman becomes that leader. Maybe Gunnar Henderson becomes that leader. But you also need the veteran types, the Todd Frazier's and the Eric Kratzes of the world when they were playing, to stabilize a clubhouse, to be a good influence on younger players. And you can't just all have 0 to 3 guys as far as service time is concerned. You need some veterans as well. The question is whether you want to commit to a center fielder who is 30 years old. And at that position, that's relatively old. That's an actual age where it becomes kind of a thing that guys don't play that position anymore at that age. So you could move him to a corner. He does hit for power, but is he what exactly you want in a corner outfield position? I'm not sure. So it is a very fair question to ask of these guys, the Orioles. Hey, what are you doing here? Who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be the guy you latch onto? Because, getting back to Scott's original point, they've yet to sign any of their young players to extensions. Gunnar Henderson is a Scott Boras client. I seriously doubt he'll sign an extension with the Orioles before becoming a free agent. Rutschman is not a Boras client and perhaps would be more open to it, but I don't know where they're at with that. Mike Elias this week, the general manager, spoke about how they're trying to do some things along the lines of extensions, and they've been fairly active with it, but to this point, nothing's been done.
Do you feel like, one last thing on the Orioles, do you feel like it's a lack of forward thinking? Because you said you don't want to have an outfielder like Cedric Mullins at 34 years old. That's with the age. They could have extended him 3 years ago to age 32 and just kept him, seeing that they were going to have Adley coming up. Or 3 years ago, Adley came up. Gunnar was coming up. All these guys were coming up. Is it lack of forward thinking, or is it a fear of what is to come, and that's not what's going to keep them their job in Baltimore?
Eric, my opinion on this would be the biggest driver in what we're talking about is the mere group of young players that they have, the incredible talent that they've been able to draft and develop. And 3 years ago, they could see guys like Cowser coming. I believe he was drafted by then. They knew what they had. They knew they'd be drafting in the future as well other players. They got Bradfield, I believe, in 2 years ago in the draft.
Yep.
So it just seems that's the way they were going. And at that time, keep in mind, they had a very different ownership, an ownership that was not willing to spend much money. Now, David Rubenstein has been willing to spend within the confines of their market size. Their increase in payroll was the second largest in the majors in the offseason. So you can't say they're being cheap, but they have a model, and it's kind of a small market model, which is understandable given their revenue position and all of that. And I don't know that they want to just take gambles, if you want to call it that, on players who are older when they have younger players coming.
What's the main question you would have for Roki Sasaki this early in his big league career if you had an opportunity to sit down with him?
That's a good question. I'd like to sit down with him. He's pitching on Fox tomorrow. My main question would be, what do you think is the thing you need to get better at? What is the thing you want to do, accomplish this season? Is it adding that slider or incorporating that in a bigger way? Is it simply fastball command and split command? Where are you in the process? What has it been like for you these first 4 or 5 starts? How do you think it's gone? And do you feel like things are getting better? That's a lot of questions. I've got a lot of questions. So hopefully I can maybe talk to him at some point.
Hey, I know it's much easier to talk to Shohei Ohtani about his progress. I joke. Obviously, he's got a billion media members there, but I'll try and at least get something out of you on this one, because we did learn yesterday that he is still months away, plural. Dave Roberts said hopefully soon he's going to face hitters. Time of return still a couple months away, saying how he knows it's vague, but you can expect him to pitch this year and in the postseason. What was your reaction to the timetable?
Keyword, Scott, postseason. And they're slow playing this. It is not a surprise. They want him available for October. And it's as simple as that. Could he be ready sooner? I'm sure he could be ready sooner. He's coming off a major elbow surgery, his second one. Nothing to be dismissive of. But at the same time, it's been quite some time now. And he is a guy that certainly has progressed. He is throwing. And if they wanted to push him along and bring him back sooner, I'm sure they could. They don't want to. He doesn't want to. His goal is to be on the mound in October and do something that, well, Babe Ruth did it, but no one else has done it. Pitch and hit in October. So that's where this is at. No one should be surprised hearing the Dodgers say, not yet. It was always going to be this way.
More in a minute, but first, a quick word from our sponsor of this video. FT fam, you got to check out HelloFresh. I know AJ's favorite part of HelloFresh. They've got the 15-minute meals, 3 steps, and you've got your dinner.
I love it. I love it. It comes fresh to your house.
Mm-hmm.
It's pre-packaged with all the ingredients in almost a brown bag. Comes with all the instructions. And what I like most about it is some people say, I don't like to cook. I like to actually chop the ingredients, cook them up. That way it makes it feel like, even though it was prepackaged, you feel like you're doing something. And it's so fresh. Fresh vegetables, fresh meat, high quality, comes with all the sauces, comes with all the spices you need.
Yes, and if you're like, hey, you guys talk about Green Chef, that's right. They're in the same fam. Both bring different strengths to the table. So check out HelloFresh, of course, and get yourself up to 10 free meals and a free high protein item for life at HelloFresh.com/FT10FM. 1 item per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only, varies by plan. That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/FT10FM. And now back to the video.
I want to ask a question here. You got deGrom going tonight, 7 earned runs in his last 2 games. Have you seen anything different from him, or something that you might be like, man, I haven't seen this from years ago with the Mets now. I mean, I still feel like he's a dominant pitcher. He gets that length on his fastball and then that slider he likes to use. Have you seen anything different from him, or it's just the Jacob deGrom of old and guys are finding ways to hit him?
It seems what he has said is that he just is not locating the way he normally does. And that's been the problem. Now, he hasn't pitched much in the last couple of years. Remember, he came back at the end of last season. And I would imagine it's somewhat of a challenge for him to find his rhythm again. And that's understandable. But he's still Jacob deGrom. The stuff is still the stuff. And he's talked about kind of pulling back a little bit, maybe not throwing as hard, max effort every pitch, which is also understandable given the injury history that he's had. But he is still an upper echelon pitcher. in my mind, there's no doubt about that when healthy, of course. And I'm anxious to see how he comes out of this, how he pitches the rest of the way, because it just seems to me it might be taking him a little bit of time to kind of get going again.
And then one more on this series, since you're covering it this weekend, there'll be a lot of eyes on it. I want to make sure we give the Rangers some love besides deGrom. What do you think of the state of the Rangers right now? They just swept an Angels team that was off to a nice start. It doesn't seem like their offense has gotten cranking. Wyatt Langford is on the mend in his rehab appearances right now. It looks like he'll be called up soon. So what do you think of this team early on?
I'm a little surprised that they haven't hit the way I expected them to. I believe I picked this team to go to the World Series. And the reason I did was the additions of Jock Peterson and Jake Berger. I thought with that and Langford coming on his second full season, or really his first full season, that they would be a team that would be back to where they were in 2023 offensively. They haven't gotten there yet. Adolis has hit well. Jonah Heim's hit well. Seager is Seager. He's been fine. But Marcus Simeon's been not good. Jock, not good. Berger, not good. It's early. I would imagine these guys are going to hit. The one thing that they seem to have going for them is pitching depth. And remember, they have at this point John Gray on the injured list, Cody Bradford on the injured list. They're coming back. And in addition to those guys, Jack Leiter's coming back. He'll be back sooner. And they just feel like at the deadline, they don't believe they're going to need pitching. Now, famous last words, right? And knock on wood. But they have positioned themselves in a way that they feel like they should be insulated if they lose a guy or two, or if they have to just kind of mix and match the rest of the way as we go forward this season. We'll see. But if they hit, it's a really good team. The bullpen's been better than expected. They had to patch it all together again after losing most of their guys in free agency. So I'm anxious to see how they kind of progress as the season goes along.
You did right with the Brian Snitker. You talked about him and how he's on the hot seat a little bit. We just saw Brian De La Cruz go down and then Alex Verdugo get recalled up to the big leagues. Was this part of the plan a little bit, or was it just a matter, Brian De La Cruz not producing a little bit? Because in the beginning of the year, they had a good amount of outfielders out there, that could play, and then all of a sudden they get a guy like Verdugo, a veteran presence.
First of all, Todd, Brian Snitker's not on the hot seat. They're not going to fire him. The question with Brian Snitker is going to be, will he return next season? And it's something where he wants to continue managing. That's going to be the issue. Not whether the Braves are going to dump a guy who won a World Series for them, has won a bunch of division titles for them, has done a tremendous job. So that's not happening. Now, as for the outfield, when they signed Verdugo, sure, the intent was to get him up as soon as he was ready. Remember, it was a late signing. Brian De La Cruz was never someone that you thought would be essential to their picture. The question going forward is going to be Kelenic. And can he get going and stave off maybe getting replaced as well? Because Acuna's coming back at some point. Now, they're going to need depth, of course. But Kelenic has not been the player that they hoped when they traded for him. They gave up a lot for him, or they took on some money for him. And that's been kind of a vexing problem for them. So that's something to watch with them. And certainly Verdugo, if he can produce the way he did in the first half for the Yankees last season, he'd be a good addition.
Ken, real quick, when you go into the locker room, I'm sure you heard about Patrick Corbin getting bit by the spider. He had a great start. Are you going to check to see if he has any spidey senses by just like doing any little thing, like knocking over a cup to see if he like grabs it or something like that? Or are you not into the Marvel superhero comics?
Oh, I'm totally into the Marvel superheroes comics, but I don't know that I'm planning to enact that when I go into the clubhouse today. I don't know that would be well received or very professional on my part. But
all right.
I'm glad to see Patrick's okay, put it that way. And you know what? He's been a nice surprise for them. He's been a guy that they feel getting out of Washington, where he kind of had to be the number one, where he had the big contract. Maybe he'll be freed up a little bit and can be a solid back-end piece for them. And I forgot to mention him when going through their rotation, but he's been pretty good so far.
Yeah, he has. Right. He's been pitching good innings for them. And Kratz, you should save that question. We'll get Patrick Corbin on the show if he keeps this up. That is a perfect icebreaker question.
I just love that Ken likes Marvel. Like
Me too.
Ken and I, we made a connection.
Actually,
Ken?
as a kid, I was more of a DC guy. DC Comics,
Mm.
the Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, that group. But Marvel's Marvel. I mean, come on, nothing to sneeze
Well done.
at.
Well done, Ken.
That's cool. There's always questions from people, even when he puts this out, and this is perfect timing for it. Ken, thank you. Appreciate the time, by the way. But Fair Territory, we always promo, obviously, after this segment. We always see when you put your question out over the weekend, some people ask personal questions like, what do you watch? What's Ken about? So we got just a little bit, but enjoy the
Those
big
are from
weekend,
me.
Dodgers and Rangers. Yeah, there
Those
you
are for me.
Thanks, guys.
go. On your burners. Thanks, Ken. Here it is, by the way, and you will get that tweet over the weekend. So if you have more questions for Ken, he might address them on an upcoming Fair Territory. Part of the FT Network. It's rolling Mondays and then Thursdays live with Alana Rizzo, who's actually going to join us soon on this show for a review. Be right back.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.